Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and we just wanted to address some things that have been going on. So, I assembled a few people here, two other people. So we have Mr. Richard Bailey. How you doing, Richard?
What's up, listeners and viewers? Doing pretty good, Gary.
Cool, cool. And we have TK alumni, Mr. Max Moeller. How you doing, Max?
Hey guys, I'm doing well. I slept well for once. Been feeling really awake all day. Ready to talk about Halo.
Wait, you slept well after yesterday?
Yeah. Somehow.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know.
We're gonna unpack
First time
that.
in 2 weeks.
There's a lot to unpack there. So yeah, we'll get back to that. But okay. So this discussion is going to be about Halo Infinite. Of course, yesterday the news hit everyone and shocked us all. Halo Infinite has officially been delayed to 2021. And, the Xbox Series X is still due for release in 2020.
November.
November 2020. So,
Yep.
yeah, what's that, 3 months away? 3 months away or something?
Yeah, that's about it. 3 months away.
Yep. So you guys can get your Xboxes pretty soon, but you might not want to. But we'll see. So yeah. So I mean,
Savage.
yeah. Let's get right into it. So I heard a lot of takes. As soon as that news hit, Twitter was on fire. Gaming Twitter and everything. I saw all the personalities, all the personas that are in our circle. Everyone had something to say, right? So some people think that this is a good thing because they're going to get to actually work on the game and update the graphics that were heavily criticized, and other people think that this significantly hurts the Xbox Series X launch because Halo is missing, and it's like how can you release an Xbox without Halo? And there's people who are in the middle, or just they're waiting to see what Sony is gonna do, and or just if there's they're just weighing things up, seeing what other releases are coming out. And some people feel like you don't even need Halo. You got Game Pass, right? Maybe Game Pass is the killer app, like for this fall. So I'm gonna bring it over to you guys. So I gotta ask you guys, like, what's your thoughts on all the takes and the news itself? Like, what do you think? So I'm gonna go to you first, Rich. So what's your initial reaction to what's been going on?
So, but before I give my initial reaction, let me just say this. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Halo Infinite, this is a game that is going to be said that this is a launch title, despite the fact that Microsoft said that this is also coming to Xbox One and PC. So but a lot of people look at it as a launch title because it's a reason to get the Series X, because then you are playing the best version of the game on the newest console. So I just wanted to get that out the way. It is coming to Game Pass, so it's coming to Xbox also. So I didn't really think of it too much as a launch title. But when you think about it from this perspective here, there's no doubt about it whatsoever that this is definitely damaging to Xbox Series X. Now, I saw a lot of people had a lot of reactions yesterday. Some of the most funniest of reactions that I saw is that when people instantly question what does Microsoft have that they're launching this fall, the Xbox fanboys will respond and say, well, what does PlayStation have this fall? And when it's very clear that we already know a few of the games that they are launching this fall, including Spiderman Miles Morales, as well as a couple of the other games that we saw that they highlighted. I believe it was Kona, the other indie title that we spoke about last time on this particular show. So I thought that was funny that they are deflecting to ask what does PlayStation have when this is clearly about Xbox, because I recall when we saw the PlayStation 5 reveal event, and then we saw Phil Spencer's remarks where he says that he feels really good about the Xbox after watching that event. That would tell me after yesterday's announcement that no, they didn't have anything planned out in terms of this whole of how they announced all of this, because I feel that Phil Spencer and Microsoft, they knew that this game wasn't coming out in this year when we saw the game a couple of weeks ago. And of course, obviously, it got a bad reaction from the fans. There were some that said, okay, this is fine. Halo looks great. Then there was also another batch of fans that said, this game looks like it needs work done on it. It looks like it's not finished. Microsoft, of course, they said after the presentation that was an early build, an early demo build, and then had the comment to say, well, yeah, we still have a ways away from launch, so it's okay because the game is going to look better in a couple of months. But I knew when I saw this game, I said, this does not look good. It looks like it needs a hell of a lot more work. So the delay isn't really a surprise to me. What is a surprise to me is how Microsoft went about talking about this delay. You talk about the delay, and again, Microsoft, they have been planning for this launch for a minute now. When Phil Spencer says that he feels good about the Xbox Series X, I believe he meant he feels good about the console coming out. He didn't say anything about the actual software. But when I saw what happened yesterday and the reactions, it's like not really a surprise to me entirely. It is for the best that the game is delayed, but I think at the end of the day, anyone who is an Xbox fan and isn't some way disappointed about this news, and they still are living in this world where they believe everything is perfect with Xbox. Oh, they have the third-party title support, so they're still better than PlayStation. I think those people really need to think about this from a larger perspective. This is the one quick point that I will add before you go to Max, because I thought about when I purchased my Xbox One and PlayStation 4, because I bought both consoles when they launched several years ago. And I recall when I had an Xbox One, man, it's like they didn't have Halo at launch, but they had a lot of games. You had Forza Motorsport 5, you had Killer Instinct, you had Dead Rising 3, which was a console exclusive at that particular time. So they had a hell of a lot more games that you could play. And then, of course, Rise, Son of Rome, a game that a lot of people said was trash, but I thought the game was pretty damn decent. So they had a lot more titles that they could offer people who wanted to pick up an Xbox One. You can't say the same thing about Xbox Series X right now, because all that we know about is Halo, we know about the Medium, we know about Scorn, and a couple of other titles. But if you go to the article that was published yesterday on Xbox Wire, where it said Xbox Series X launches this November with thousands of games spanning 4 generations, and then when you read the article and you see, yes, we're going to be launching these games, including Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dirt 5, Yakuza Like a Dragon, Watch Dogs Legion, all of those games are also coming to PlayStation 5 at launch. So, I mean, I don't really see the benefit of why you would get an Xbox Series X at launch, especially when there are no console exclusive titles that are going to be worth playing. Yes, you could talk about the Medium and Scorn, but it has already been revealed that those are console timed exclusives, which means they are also coming to PlayStation at a later period of time. So I just think as an Xbox fan, yes, do I still plan to get a Series X in the future? I'm pretty sure I will. I mean, I have an Xbox One X right now, so I don't really see the need to rush to get a Series X. I will get it at some point in time, but is this a system that I would purchase in November based off of what I know right now? No way in hell, Jack. Because it feels to me like they still need more time to finish a lot of the games that we saw, like Fable, etc. There are no dates for any of these games, and Fable is definitely, that's an early, did I say early? Early build for that game. So we're going to be waiting a while for these titles. So, I mean, there's no reason to pick up an Xbox Series X in 2020, in my personal opinion. But will I pick it up in 2021? Yeah, because maybe by then there'll be a lot more games to choose from. But if I'm talking about just specifically launch titles, Microsoft, they did a hell of a better job this generation with Xbox One than they're doing with the Xbox Series X. And that is my personal opinion. I'm sure people will disagree, but either way, I don't care. No one can come back and tell me this Xbox Series X launch the launch lineup is looking a hell of a lot better than it did for Xbox One. Because Xbox One, at least there was a lot more options you had, even though Halo and Gears weren't even options at that point in time. So that's my opinion.
So what you're saying essentially is the Xbox Series X is third-party central. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, yeah, it has, like I said, it has some of the console timed exclusives, all this other stuff. And we are going to be getting Gears Tactics, which will probably be coming to Xbox One, because that launched on PC earlier this year. I've heard a lot of great things about that game, so I definitely will pick that up. But aside from that, I mean, there really isn't anything else that I could say is a reason why I need to have an Xbox Series X at launch. There's nothing that I can see on there.
I thought you were excited to play Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh yeah. but you know what, Gary? Yakuza Like a Dragon is also coming to PlayStation 5 the exact same time. Because if you look on the listing of all the upcoming video game releases, and you look at Yakuza Like a Dragon, I believe it said November 13th, it also is coming to PS5 the exact same day.
Okay, so, I didn't even know that. I thought it was a timed exclusive, but yeah, no, that's even worse.
I do believe it's going to be on Game Pass, so that is one advantage that they have, because if somebody didn't want to buy the game outright, they could play it for a lot cheaper by just playing it through Game Pass. But the point that I'm making is that there isn't really, in my opinion, any reason to pick up an Xbox Series X at launch. Now, I'll be very curious to see what Microsoft does, because I noticed yesterday when this news happened, Phil Spencer just retweeted the news. There was no comments from Phil Spencer whatsoever yesterday about any of this stuff, because he knows if he would have commented on it, people would have came after him, I'm sure. So I'm very curious to see what they have now, because they have to do something. Now, they have enough time where you can still try and launch something on Xbox Series X, but I don't know. I have no idea what that game is, because we saw what 9 of the studios are working on in that Xbox event. There was other games that we didn't see anything on, so maybe there could be some type of announcement whenever they announce the price, that they announce, oh yes, this is also coming at launch. But for right now, I would say it's looking very bleak for in terms of a launch lineup for Series X.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, so, before I get to the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Max, let me just give my, little opinion here. So, me personally, this news doesn't really affect me. Now, I'm not the biggest Halo guy. I've enjoyed a few Halo experiences, such as Halo Reach. I played ODST also. I believe I played Halo 4. And I played some of the others here and there, but not extensively. But as far as Halo Infinite, I'm a PC gamer. I wasn't going to get a Series X anyway this year. So my thing was, I was going to, get Game Pass and try the game out on PC and hopefully play with some of you guys. So that was going to be my experience with the game, and I mean that can still happen next year. And I have more to say on these release windows, but I'll get to that later. So for now, let me just pass over to Mr. Max Moeller. So Max, what's your take on all of this Halo news and all of the takes that have come out since that news was published?
Let's see. First of all, I want to say everything Rich said was very well said.
Oh, thank you.
And absolutely. And Rise is an amazing game. I loved that game. It needed a sequel. But it was definitely surprising to hear, because I felt that despite that demo, even if it really was older, because it didn't look as great as it should have and everything like that, I did feel like the team was well on their way to getting this game out by the Series X console launch. So that was a bit of surprise for me to hear that the game was delayed. I think it's good that it got delayed. I think that they should delay a game if it needs to be delayed. So I'm not too worried about that because there's a million other games to play, and I wasn't planning on getting a Series X just like you guys. Like, I was just waiting for the game on my PC. So all that means to me is that's more time for other games until Infinite comes out. So I'm not too butthurt about it. As for the view of the Series X, as for what this does for the Series X launch, I do think it hurts it a bit, especially seeing all the takes on Twitter. I mean, obviously you have the fanboys going back and forth. They use anything they can find as bait to piss the other side off. So the anti-Xbox fanboys definitely had a ball with this. But I don't want to say it's as drastic as some people are saying it is. It definitely sucks. Infinite should have been a launch title, but keep in mind Halo 3 wasn't a launch title for the 360. That ended up coming out 2 years later. Halo wasn't a launch title for the Xbox One either, and when we did get the Master Chief Collection a year later, it was pretty broken. It was very, very broken, and still broken to this day. In fact, I tried to play a match this morning, and I couldn't because the game had to reinstall for some reason, because the app is so broken on PC. But the franchise is still going despite that, and like Halo 5 we still got eventually and it was still good. It still sold well, and I think people are still anticipating Halo. I think it will still be a big event when the game comes out. But I'm also thinking, I was thinking about this when Rich was talking. I don't think it's as big of a deal for the Xbox Series X, partly because I don't know if Microsoft is viewing this console launch as much of an event as like Sony is with the PlayStation 5. I almost feel like they're viewing this more as like the launch of the Xbox One X, where they did promote it, they like hyped it up like a new console, but they didn't treat it like it was the next big thing. Like, it wasn't treated like a new console generation per se, if that makes sense. And I feel like Microsoft is doing the same thing here, almost as if they're just launching another iteration in their same ecosystem, which they are doing, because to them, they're just offering another place to play these same games that we're already going to get to play no matter what. Maybe that's a little disconnected of me because I don't care about an Xbox Series X anymore because everything's coming to PC. So maybe that's just me projecting my feelings onto it, because I'm way more hyped for the PlayStation 5, but the PlayStation 5 to me feels like a new console launch always has. Like, they're hyping it up to be one. It's going to have all these new features, things that the previous console couldn't do, whereas the Series X just feels like a more powerful Xbox One X, which the One X felt like to the Xbox One. It doesn't feel like this whole new overhaul. It just feels like a continuation in that ecosystem. So I almost wonder if they don't care that much because of Game Pass and because everything's coming to PC. Like, no matter what, I think they're still going to be bringing more people on, because I'm still getting like these notifications for new Game Pass games coming out on my phone all the time, and they're all like, oh, this game is coming out next month, and this game is coming out next month. And then I remember, I'm like, oh, I'll be able to play those day one. I won't even have to buy a Series X. And I think Microsoft knows that, because that's kind of the way they're marketing these things. I still think the Series X is like a premium box. I think it's for a very specific niche of people, just like the Xbox One X was, for example. So I'm thinking it might not hurt it as much as some are saying it is, but I could be wrong. That might be projecting my own feelings on it, because I don't care about the console that much. Like, I'm interested in it because of hardware. I like hardware. I want one eventually, but like, I'm not day one, regardless of Halo, because it's going to be on my PC, and that's the best place to play it, no matter what.
Whoa, okay. Interesting takes. And yeah, I think there's a lot of validity to what you said about, you know, how Microsoft looks at the release of the console now, because to me it's like they're playing a real long-term game, and like, I think Game Pass is like their main priority right now. It's like, so the hardware is just, you know, it's a platform, but they really want to build up the service. So I think they're putting their all into Games Pass and their future, you know, studio exclusive lineups and stuff like that. And the box is just a box for them. Whereas, you know, Sony, you know, they're all about, you know, the presentation and everything of the console. Like, it's a spectacle with them, you know, whenever they put out a new system. So yeah, I think there's a lot of validity to what you said there. So, you know, another thing I wanted to address, right? So, in my opinion, I don't feel like either console should have came out this year. Like, no, I mean, the main reason is, of course, Corona and everything. Like, I feel like a lot of consumers are going to be turned off of, buying a console this year, or, making large purchases like that. Like, I mean, if you're watching the news in the UK, they just announced today that we've gone into the biggest recession we've had in decades. So, yeah, so I mean, this situation is here to stay. Like, we're going to be dealing with the effects of the lockdown and the pandemic for a while. And it's going to hit a lot of people financially, and I mean, there's been a ton of job losses and everything over here. I'm sure it's the same in the US. So yeah, I mean, this isn't, like, to me, this isn't a good consumer year to release, like a console. So in my opinion, I feel like both companies did not need to release their consoles this year. I feel like they're just rushing them out to market just to, I mean, either to compete with each other and be the first, or, not be left behind, or whatever. But I feel like there should have been some kind of agreement to where both of them just released next year, and that would have gave them more time to work on things like, like Halo Infinite and perfect it. And also, I mean, things with the console itself, they could have maybe upgraded the hardware, refined the pricing even. I mean, we don't even have the pricing yet, but the fact that they're so reluctant to share that, it means that it's probably going to be a high price, right? So
Absolutely.
I just want to ask a quick question, and then I will answer your question.
What's that?
Are you saying that it is totally fair to say that the current pandemic is the reason, is a valid reason to say why this game should have been delayed?
What, Halo?
Yeah.
I mean, I think given the timing, it wouldn't, people wouldn't have took it that way, just because, people were ripping the game to shreds for weeks. Like, I've seen that meme like 1,000 times. Like
yeah, Craig. It's Craig.
Craig, yeah.
From Friday. Craig from Friday. He's aged.
Yeah.
Well.
So go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, just to end off, I was going to say, like, I don't think people would have believed, if they blamed it on the pandemic, I don't think people would have believed it at this point.
Well, let me just make this comment, and then we'll get into the topic you said about both consoles. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily think that is a valid reasoning for the delay, because this game has been in development for a long time, and I mean, I could understand if they delayed it and then they said spring 2021, but they straight up said 2021. That means that this game could come out at any point in time, and I would think more than likely it's going to end up being closer to the fall of next year as opposed to earlier in the year. So for that reason, I think that this game is clearly a lot more development time that they need, more so than just it's suffering. So what I'm basically saying is, we can say that because of the pandemic, I could understand if a game is a couple months late, but this is like almost going to be like a full year late that it's going to be getting released. So that's why I said I don't really think that is the reasoning. I think it's very likely that the game has had some development issues, and with deciding as to how they want to approach Halo Infinite, they probably had to go back to the drawing board a couple of times, and then they decided to get serious about how they want to do this. That's why I said it'll be very interesting to hear the story later about the development cycle when this game actually comes out. But I mean, yes, we can say the virus. I want to say that. Let's just say that the pandemic has impacted everybody, every company, every studio. A lot of games are getting pushed out because people that have to work remotely, and working remotely, they may not necessarily have a good number of resources, so on and so forth, to actually get the job done. Or it takes a lot longer because they are working remotely. So it definitely impacted that. It definitely has impacted every game. But with this game, I have to question that to a degree because this game has been in development for a while. If you recall, when we saw the first trailer from this game, this is back in 2018.
Yep.
During E3. So they have been working on this game for a while. So I mean, I can understand if it's a couple months late, but that announcement yesterday, it makes me feel like this game isn't coming out until the end of next year. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So to go on to what you were saying though about both consoles, it would be best if they didn't come out until 2021. I think that is a valid argument because yeah, this has not been a good year. But you know, at the same time, I mean, I don't really know how people's finances are because I mean, I go out, whether I'm going out working or whatever. People are still out. They're still going to shopping malls, spending money. So I don't really know if this, even though they said that, oh, people have lost so many jobs, all this other stuff. I don't really know how true that is for every single person because I still think a lot of people are going to go out and buy these consoles when they come out later this year, even if they don't, even if they suffered a job loss, even if they don't have a ton of money. At least that's what the perception is that I have seen here, because people are still spending money like this is just a normal period of time. But do I agree that it would have been best if they both came out in 2021? Yeah, because it feels like a lot of games are not coming to 2021. The Horizon Forbidden West, that's not coming until 2021. We know that because they announced it when they had an update on it a couple of weeks ago. Ratchet and Clank, there is no release date for that yet. I'm pretty sure that game isn't coming until next year, if at the earliest. But yeah, it just feels like a lot of games are not going to be dropping until next year. So it probably would have made sense for the consoles to drop next year. And the last point that I will add, which is something that we also spoke about on this show before, is that the Unreal Engine 5, this engine is not going to be available to developers until next year, at the fall at the latest, which means that it's going to take a while before you start to see how this engine is implemented with the video games coming up. So yes, 100%, that is once again another reason why we should have just waited until 2021 to drop these consoles. There's no need to drop them this fall, because I understand, because the year has been bad and people want to feel good, they want to be able to buy something to help them feel better or whatever. But honestly, yeah, this probably could have waited till 2021 when there actually will be more software available on both platforms for people to actually play the games on.
Yeah, indeed, some great points there. How do you feel about that, Max? Like, do you think both companies should have just moved these console releases to next year?
I go very back and forth on this. I originally thought, but at the same time, like Rich said, a lot of people are still spending money despite all the job losses. I know that unemployment, at least here in America, they were giving out a lot of money each week. It was like $600 a week for a lot of people for a long time, and assuming these boxes will be $500, that's the console in 1 week. But so maybe people are saving for it, things like that. So, and I know that Sony is looking to double PlayStation 5 production, based on everyone being at home, based on what they think is popular demand. So I wonder if they know something that we don't, or if they're just like winging it and doing that, because people are stuck at home, like regardless of whether they have a job or not. Most people are stuck at home. And because of that, I think a lot more people are gaming than ever before. Like, I know the last couple of months have been huge for digital sales. I know, like, no one can find a Switch because people keep buying them out. So, in a way, I think it can be smart that they're releasing the consoles this year, because people have nothing to do. Like, they can't go out. People are still going out shopping, but you can't go out as much as, like, we used to be able to. And a lot of people are making a point to stay home and not go out. So what are they doing instead? They're watching shows or they're playing games. So there is that. I don't know the statistics behind this stuff, so I don't know how much of these people like are planning to buy a new console, or if they're going to wait a little bit. So I think, yeah, it makes some sense that they delay till next year, But I think for people stuck at home, I think for the consumer, it might actually be a good thing they're releasing this year because they're releasing around the holiday season. People are already planning to spend money around that time. Maybe like people will get like a family console, things like that. Like the family could pitch in and get a console. So I think it might actually be an okay idea to release this year. The thing is, though, I will say that Microsoft is in a really good boat here because if there are a lot of people who are hurting for cash and they won't be able to upgrade their console, they still can play a lot of games if they already have an Xbox One or an Xbox One X. By the way, I'm pretty sure the Xbox One S is like cheap as hell right now. So if you get a cheap Xbox One S, like even now, or if you got one within the last year, you're set on that for like the foreseeable future, for the next couple of years. So Microsoft is in a good boat there, whereas with the PlayStation 5, that thing's going to be expensive, that controller looks expensive, the games are going to be more expensive, so there is that in regards. So that's actually another point to Microsoft not even caring if the Series X sells as much, is because they'll still have people playing Game Pass, they'll still have people playing on their PCs, like they have all these entry points into the ecosystem already. So maybe it would have been smarter if Sony delayed their console. And maybe they still will. I guess that is still a possibility. I don't think it's going to happen. I think both are going to come out this November, but you never know, that could get delayed. I mean, Halo Infinite just got delayed, but yeah, I definitely go back and forth, but I think after a lot of thought, I actually lean more towards maybe they should release this year, jokes aside, because people are staying at home, people are more willing to spend money. Like, one of the only things you could do to feel good right now is like spend money on yourself, is like splurge on yourself. I feel like even if people aren't making as much money right now, they're still like willing to spend a little more to like feel a little better about themselves, because you can't go out to like a bar or hang out with friends as easily and stuff. So you buy something, it's like what's that called? There's like a psych term for it. Retail therapy. So maybe that plays in. I don't know.
Okay, that's those are some great perspectives there. And yeah, I guess I never really thought of it like that, because you know, the way I am is like, whenever I see, you know, something like a recession or, you know, some kind of big world event that changes things, I'm immediately playing defense with my finances. But I guess not everyone, you know, is like that. So yeah, I mean, you know, I guess and a lot of people are staying indoors more as well and stuff with the pandemic. So yeah, it makes sense that people will want to game more, and game sales have been, you know, up a lot. So yeah, you make some great points. I do think, like you said, it should have been Sony at the very least who delayed the release to next year, just based on their specs alone. You know, they could have really got some more bang for their buck if they would have waited till 2021 to release the PlayStation 5. Like it could have been.
Yeah,
so Gary, are you saying that the Xbox Series X is more powerful than the PS5?
Oh, without a doubt. but I mean, you know, the PlayStation 5, it has the SSD tech and the audio tech, so I mean that could give it an edge too. But you know, but yeah, I mean, the Xbox has more what do you call it? It's teraflops. So
you know, I just wanted to make sure that point was highlighted, so that when we go back and look at this video later, and the amount of people that have negative comments, they're going to be like, well, obviously they didn't listen to this part. They just were very selective in what they heard us say, and therefore that's what they'll talk about, as opposed to the positive things that you said about Xbox Series X. So yes, continue.
Oh, I mean, people are gonna be mad regardless. That's just how they are. So somebody, like, either one person or another is gonna be mad. So it's cool. Just send all hate to me. It's okay. But yeah, yeah. So I mean, I definitely think Sony should have. But so speaking of PlayStation 5, right? So with this delay of Halo Infinite, does this, as an actual fact, make the PlayStation 5 launch lineup look more appealing by default? Like, is it a certified fact now? Of course, we know that the Miles Morales game is supposed to be coming this year. We don't have a solid date or anything, but, you know, it's supposed to be coming. So, you know, with that, do you guys think that it's, you know, a certifiable fact that PlayStation 5 has the better launch lineup? Go ahead, Rich.
Well, to be perfectly honest, after watching that Sony event, I mean, we can definitely say that the PS5 reveal event was better than the first Xbox event that they had. But to be honest with you, Gary, I personally think that Sony has the more appealing. That if somebody was to sell me on a product and tell me this is what we have coming to this product, I think Sony has done a better job of that so far, hands down. In terms of the launch lineup, yeah, like I mentioned, you have Kenna, you have the Spider-Man Miles Morales game. That's cool. Although I do think that there's another event coming soon, and at that event, there could be another announcement. I mean, there have been rumors of something else launching on PS5. I don't know if any of that is accurate, so I have to see how that goes. But I would say right now, in terms of there being something that I could want to play on a new console, if I was to purchase a console at launch, PS5, yes, because they actually have exclusive games launching on their console. So I would say they are appealing for that reason, and also for the reason that you know that there are more games coming to the system because you've already had a glimpse of what's coming. And again, I know a lot of people will criticize The Last of Us. They would say that The Last of Us 2, very controversial game. I don't like the narrative. I don't like the direction. But there's no doubt about it. The people that are criticizing this game, I'm pretty sure those same people are going to pick up Naughty Dog's next game because of the reputation of Naughty Dog as a studio. They always make exceptional games. You can criticize the story and all this other stuff, but everybody, seeing how people kept talking about this game, even after they were so angry about it, they just kept talking about the game. Whether it's negative or positive, that shows you, yes, the staying power of Naughty Dog. So it's not just because of the launch lineup with PlayStation 5, it's because you already know from the track record of what they have shown us this generation, their titles are going to be more appealing. God of War sequel, we know that's in development, that's going to be coming at some point in time. I mean, the list goes on and on. But with that said, to go to what Max said earlier, because Max made some excellent points, yeah, I'm still very much interested in what Xbox has. I don't want this to sound like I'm fully behind Sony. No, as I said earlier, I am a gamer. I'm going to pick up a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. I'm just saying, in terms of a launch lineup, I'm not sold on Xbox Series X now, especially with no Halo. And there's no other title that they're launching that even could be a backup plan. That's what I'm saying. At least with Sony, yes, they're not launching with an Uncharted. Of course, they're not launching with a God of War. They do have Spider-Man DLC, as some people would say, because they say that to say, well, let's just downplay the Miles Morales stuff like it's not important. But the game is still important. But you have that as well as other titles. So I feel like if I was going to pick up a console at launch, I would definitely pick up a PS5 just based off of what I know about the system so far.
I noticed you used the word if. So you're not picking up a console? Your mind hasn't been changed?
Right now, yeah, my mind hasn't really changed. I mean, at anything right now. You know, I know there are a lot of people that are very delusional, that they don't want to pretend like we are in a recession, that we're in a pandemic, and they will still go out and buy whatever they want to buy. I think about my budget every single month. So before I even consider any of that, there's other more important bills I need to pay before I even think about getting a console. So when that time comes, we will see exactly if I made that decision. But I can tell you right now, I mean, I'm not really, I have no plans to pick up either console on day one, at least for the moment. Now, let's see what changes in the next couple of weeks, because as I said, there's going to be another event, I'm pretty sure, for Microsoft and Sony, and they may show a couple of more things that are coming to both consoles. That may change my mind. But for right now, I don't really think I'm going to be picking up either at launch, the longer that they wait to tell us how much the systems actually cost. Because there's no reason for us to still be having this discussion how much of the consoles, and then these consoles are out in a couple of months. They have to get this information out there ASAP, in my personal opinion.
Facts. Yep. So, how about you, Max? Like, do you think Sony automatically has the more appealing launch lineup?
By default, absolutely. In terms of backing that up, I don't think I can say anything more than what Rich already covered. I think he pretty much covered all of that. But absolutely, I honestly think even as much as I love Halo, I think even with Halo, the PlayStation still had a more like diverse and appealing launch lineup. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Halo, and if I could only play one game like ever, it would be Halo. But without Halo, the fact that it seems like Xbox has very little means that Halo was their only like big thing for a launch lineup. So even with that there, I was still more interested in a PlayStation 5 because of that reveal event. And because, like Rich said, there's a lot more to come, I think, on both sides, to be fair. I have heard, mostly on Twitter, from, like, you know, big-time games journalists who have, like, all the sources. They both say that both Microsoft and Sony have a lot that they haven't shown or even hinted at, which is fair, so that could still change. But I think regardless, just that reveal event for the PlayStation 5 was awesome. Like, I know not all of those were launch titles. In fact, the majority of them were not launch titles. But what is there, I think the variety there justifies the console a little bit more, the console purchase a little bit more. And again, this factors into every decision, like it has to. They're all just coming to PC. So, like, I think that just generates a bias towards the PlayStation 5, like, because there's exclusivity there. There's things that you can't get anywhere else there, which makes it inherently more appealing. So I think there's that, and it's hard to, like, get rid of that thought bias. But I do think, regardless, yeah, PlayStation 5 has the better launch lineup, especially more so with Halo gone, like, without question. And I definitely want one day one. And, you know, I'm excited about the games coming shortly afterwards, like Ratchet and Clank and everything. Like, I'm so hyped for Ratchet and Clank. It's not even funny. But yeah.
So my mind is blown right now. Because, you know, when Max first joined the Koalition, you know, he was an Xbox guy, and you know, I know that he's since bought a PlayStation 4. So Max, like, I know that you've played a few, you know, PlayStation titles like God of War and everything. But let's say you didn't have a PC, right? Like, let's say PC is out the picture, so like you can't play Game Pass games on your PC or whatever. Would you still be rocking with PlayStation 5 more than Series X?
I think so. I want to say yes, especially with the Halo delay. That's a tough question, because even lately, the past couple of months, I've almost exclusively been playing my PlayStation and then PC. I haven't really turned my Xbox much at all. That's actually, the big reason for that is because I've fallen in love with trophies more than achievements. I just find trophies more satisfying.
Whoa.
So I've been playing multi-platform games on PlayStation. Like, that's literally the big reason. And of course the exclusives, like Last of Us 2 came out, so I've been playing that a lot. Or was when it came out. I haven't played it since I beat it. And like still catching up on PlayStation 4 exclusives. Like I'm getting very, very, very slowly through Persona 5, things like that. Like Nier Automata, I know that's not a PlayStation exclusive anymore, but I have it on there because I bought it when it was. So like there's still a lot of games that really appeal to me that I've been trying to get through slowly there, since we're not sure about the PlayStation being backwards compatible. So I've been trying to get those in, because I know once I get the PS5, it's going to be a lot harder for me to want to play the PS4. Like, I know some games will be backwards compatible, but not all of them, like on the Xbox. So with the delay of Halo, yeah, I would have to say probably still go PS5. With Halo, if Halo was still coming as a launch title, that's a bit tougher. I want to say I might have leaned towards the Series X simply because of Halo, because that's my favorite franchise. But I would have gotten a PS5 like as soon as possible afterwards. In fact, I probably would have gone insane and tried to save up to buy both at launch, but that's pretty unrealistic, even without the pandemic. But yeah, I think yeah, probably the Xbox Series X purely because of Halo, if I didn't have the PC to play it on. Yeah, but that's like, no, that's very slight. Like, no, that would have been like, all right, I know I'm going in for just Halo. Like, yeah, Game Pass is here, but all those PS5 games look awesome. Like, I still love Ratchet and Clank and everything, so. Yeah.
Okay. Max is, he's dropping a lot of, interesting, takes here. So, so, Okay, first of all, I have to get your thoughts on Persona 5 off air because that's like my favorite game this generation, besides Overwatch. But like you don't know what you just did, Max, because there have been literal wars in the Koalition history over trophies versus achievements. And I'm pretty sure if any of the TK alumni are gonna listen to this, it's gonna like reignite those wars. So I can't wait to see that happen. But
don't get me wrong, I'm still like I love achievements too. Like I have a 120k gamer score. Like that's not going away. Don't get me wrong, but it's just the presentation of the trophies. I like that there's the like the stages of them, the tiers of them. I like that you can level up. That's the big thing. It's leveling up. Because, like, with the Xbox game, you get 100%, and you're like, yeah, I got 100%. That's cool. But you get a platinum trophy on PlayStation. Like, it's just so much more validating, and you want to hit, like, level 12. Like, I'm level 11 right now. I want to hit level 12. Like, that's validating. That makes me think, even though I have an Xbox One X, which is better for platformers, because I only have a base PlayStation. I don't have a PS4 Pro. I still want to play games on the PS4 right now. So they can come at me for that.
Hey, I'm 100% with you on that. Like, I prefer trophies too, but yeah. So yeah, I mean, we got to wrap this up soon, of course. So like, I have one final, question I'm gonna throw out here. So, do you think that this delay is going to at all affect the sales of the Xbox Series X? So, we remember what happened in this generation. Like, PlayStation 4 just took off, left, the Xbox One behind. Do you think we might see something similar happen now just because Halo is not here this year at launch? So yeah, how badly does this affect the sales, do you think? So who wants to take this first? You want to go, Rich, or?
Let's go with Max first.
Okay, go ahead, Max.
Yeah, I think it's inevitable that it'll affect the sales.
By a large margin?
No. I don't think it's going to destroy the console. Because, I mean, Halo's still coming. And the people that were willing, in all of this going on, to get an Xbox Series X day one will probably still do it, if not day one, shortly afterwards. Because Halo is still coming. Like, it's not like we're not getting Halo, And you still have Game Pass and everything. And you still have all the other, literally every other Halo game on there that will be playable on the Series X. So it's not like you'll be like without Halo. Because like when the Xbox One launched, we were without Halo for a while. I remember that distinctly, and that was sad. That's not the case anymore. So the franchise is still there. So I think the people that wanted it, they're going to buy one still. But there will be some people who are waiting, who will probably wait. Or they might buy a PC or a PS5 instead and then be like, you know what, I don't really want a Series X anymore. Like, that's definitely going to happen. But I don't think it's going to be an insane margin, because to be quite honest, I don't think it's going to sell that much in the first place. I still think it's a very much an enthusiast box, like the One X was. So yeah, it'll affect them, but not too much, I would say.
Okay. And how about you, Rich?
I think Max made a lot of great points. I do think it is going to impact in the very beginning, at least. And again, this is something that could change. It's like I said before. I think Microsoft, they know yesterday's announcement was still a blow to Series X. I mean, they're not completely oblivious to that fact. So I feel like you have to have some other announcement, some other selling point that you're going to be talking about in the next couple of weeks, because otherwise. And like Max said, there's definitely other stuff that both companies are keeping in terms of stuff they haven't revealed yet. But I feel like in Microsoft's case, I think it's a little bit more important that Microsoft definitely reveals something else that could be coming sooner rather than later. Only because, yeah, we can say that the Halo thing is not a big deal at the moment. Well, it is a big deal at the moment. Long term, no, Xbox will still be fine because there still will be people that will pick up the system. But what I'm saying is, for those that care about console exclusives, or the console having some type of game you can only play on Xbox or PC for that matter, they have to have something else that they're going to say, either it was going to come out later, but it's going to get pushed up, or even as you guys made a point earlier before we started recording, if the Halo multiplayer was made available free at launch, and then the campaign is what we're waiting on, that would be a very good idea for them to consider that. But I just feel like Microsoft, there's no way that they're going to sit back after they see the backlash they got yesterday and not have something else coming that they haven't spoken about yet. So we'll have to wait and see how they approach it. But for right now, as of today, as of this moment, yes, this is going to definitely impact the sales on Series X, in my personal opinion.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. I think initially we're definitely going to see, the PlayStation 4 with the highest sales, but it'll be interesting to see, if that's like going to be a consistent gap throughout the next 12 to 16 months or whatever. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, I think as far as this year, PlayStation has it, just because I feel like there's a lot more brand loyalty in terms of like the exclusive games and the types of games that people want to see. I think like Sony has a huge catalog of games that people treasure, basically. What was you gonna say, Rich?
And let me just make this quick point and say also the other thing about Sony is they are using Microsoft's strategy of the third-party exclusivity deals, because the whole Spider-Man coming to Marvel's Avengers thing.
Yep.
I mean, that was a big deal. We didn't talk about that because that happened last week, but the reaction from that was hilarious because people were just getting angry about it. And the thing that I laugh at is that I think the people that was over the moon excited about this, when they heard that, they thought, oh, well, this means that the same Spider-Man from Insomniac's Spider-Man game is the Spider-Man that's going to be in this game. No, that's not what's going to happen. They're making their own version of these characters. So I do not expect to see that version of Spider-Man in the Square Enix version of Marvel's Avengers. That's not going to happen. But yeah, I mean, Sony has said they're going to focus more on that stuff this generation, and that goes back to what I said earlier about when Xbox One launched. They had that Dead Rising 3 deal, and hey, that was one of the games I picked up at Xbox One at launch, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, this is definitely the same strategy that Sony is also using now. The fact that your favorite game, Gary, Final Fantasy VII Remake, this game still ain't on Xbox. So that, again, this strategy is going to definitely work in their favor. So yes, this PlayStation 5 is going to definitely have a hell of a lot more sales than Xbox Series X this year, but we'll see what happens whenever Microsoft either announces more titles that are coming to Series X, or they have other news that they reveal about the console that we don't know yet. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, speaking of Final Fantasy, I definitely feel like that that announcement of the remake coming for Xbox is going to come soon, just because, the fact that...
You think so?
Yeah, the fact that it came to Games Pass, like the original game and stuff. Like, I feel like they're kind of gearing up for that announcement. And it's going to be interesting if, if it comes to the Xbox Series X, like, are they going to have, are they going to heavily advertise the graphical upgrades and all that stuff, like, that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I mean, they can do various things like that, just announce more upcoming titles just to make the console seem more appealing. So I'm sure they'll be doing lots of that in the coming months.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we are gonna wrap up. Unless you guys have anything else quickly to bring up, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah. Last comment.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that Halo Infinite is going to be the last game to be delayed this year. I will put my money on Cyberpunk 2077 getting delayed next.
Really?
Are you trying to hurt my feelings right now?
You didn't see the article yesterday that they published where they were saying that they're still not happy about the combat in the game? They're not 100% happy about how the combat is right now in Cyberpunk 2077. That's what CD Projekt Red said the other day. So that definitely cause for concern, because this is a game that was supposed to come out in November. So I would not be surprised if it gets delayed to 2021. Because also remember, they said the next gen update to the game wouldn't be coming until 2021. Also, so I think that right there was a hint that this game is supposed to come out in November, but if it doesn't, don't be surprised if it gets pushed back a couple of months. It comes out spring of next year. So I'm just telling you right now, prepare for that.
Spring?
I think that.
Yo, don't play with my emotions, Rich. Please.
Yep, it's a bold claim.
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't get delayed. I'm actually hyped for that.
Yeah, same here.
I mean, I would love to be wrong, because they showed a lot more information. They showed those videos earlier this week, the life paths, the tools of destruction, so on and so forth. But I'm just telling you, prepare yourself in case it gets delayed, because after I saw that article, that was very concerning when I saw that statement. So we'll see what happens.
Man,
Halo. Oh, sorry, go.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Halo being delayed doesn't bum me out too much. Just because I know it's still coming, but Cyberpunk being delayed would actually bum me out. That would actually suck. I don't care about game delays much, but that would actually suck. I don't want it to get delayed again. I actually forgot it was delayed, and yesterday I was like, oh, Cyberpunk soon. And I was like, wait, no, it's not. I forgot. It happened again.
Yeah, I actually just bought the World of Cyberpunk book, man. Don't make me get a refund.
No, don't get a refund, Gary. Just continue to have some hope. But I'm just saying, prepare yourself in the event that it is delayed. And I don't really have. If it is delayed, I don't have a problem with. Like I said, I don't have a problem with any delays that happen right now. Because again, we are in a pandemic, and I don't believe that anybody that is working for any of these studios needs to risk their life to finish a game. Obviously, you have to take the safety precautions, and that's what everybody should be concerned about right now. So if it is delayed, I'm totally fine with that. But I'm just saying, prepare yourself in the event that it is delayed, because I think it's a very good chance it might be delayed, at least by a couple of months. But we'll see.
Yeah, I hope not, because they've delayed it a lot, and I know I appreciate CD Projekt, because they like to really polish their games. So I respect them for that, but no, I've been waiting for this game so much. Like I can't wait anymore. So yeah, but that's pretty much gonna be it for today from us. I do want to give a big shout out to Brian Wilson, who on Monday he published an editorial. It's very lengthy, but it basically breaks down Games Pass as a service. So I recommend, if anyone listened to this discussion, definitely check out that article, because he really breaks it down in depth, and he makes a lot of great points about the service and how they can grow and why it might not have grown as much as it could have so far. He really goes into depth, and there's even some comparisons to other subscription models. So I recommend everyone go check out that article. I will link to it below. And yeah, I mean, as far as the podcasts go, we are going to try and get back on regular rotation eventually. We just have some house cleaning to take care of, and we have to address our schedules and everything like that. But you probably can expect a co-op podcast coming soon.
Yeah,
for sure. And yeah, I mean, big shouts to everyone who engages with us, whether it's on socials or in the comments, or anyone who just DMs us their feedback. I have a lot of love for all you people, and you're the reason I always make time for this. So shouts to everyone who shows their support and everything. You guys got any final shout outs? Go ahead, Max.
As always, thanks everyone who ends up tuning into the show. I can't say who is tuning in right now this time, because we're not live. But everyone who's going to tune in for the show, I'm looking forward to the comments. Last time we got some angry comments about Halo, so I'm sure that's going to happen again. But I'm more than willing to fight to back up my words.
Whoa!
And then, of course, thanks you guys for having me on, as always.
Okay. Shouts to Mr. Other Zinc. You know, feel free to give us, like, send or hate my way. It's okay. I'll read it. You know, I'll take it on board. But
well, the question that I would love to ask Other Zinc, and when he does comment on this, because he will listen to this again, I want you to tell me what games you're picking up at launch on Xbox Series X. Do not deflect and talk about, well, what is PlayStation 5 launching? No, I want to hear specifically, you tell me what games you want on Series X day one that is worth picking up the console for. Just because I want to see, because I know you're a big Forza fan. We know that ain't coming this year, so I would love to hear what you have to say about that.
well, I already heard his response. He said he's gonna play all 100 games in November on Games Pass. So.
Wait, then he'll have nothing else to play if he plays them all in November. Then I'll need a PS5.
True, very true.
Maybe.
You'll have to get a PS5 in December. Other Zinc.
Yeah.
So. Go ahead. But yeah, Rich, any final shout outs or anything?
Yeah, I would like to give a shout out to those that continue to still support the Koalition. I also want to give a shout out to those that continue to hate on the Koalition. Because, hey, we do have haters as well. And, hey, I would tell them if they do not want to check out the site, I'm totally fine with that. They don't want to check out the videos, totally fine with that. There are plenty of excellent shows, excellent podcasts, excellent websites out here covering everything gaming. So feel free to expand your knowledge if you'd like. But yeah, for those that actually do support the site, we appreciate each and every one of you. Like Gary said, we'll have more content coming very, very soon. But until then, I hope everybody stays safe. Continue gaming if you are gaming, and just have a great rest of the week.
Indeed. So, yeah, peace and love to everyone out there. If you're listening, drop a comment. Check out thekoalition.com. The social media tags are at the top of this video. You should be able to see them. And yeah, just keep engaging and keep the discussion flowing.
Last point. I do want to give a quick shout out also. Yeah, you already shouted out Brian. So I want to shout out Brian as well. He did an excellent job on the article. Check it out. I want to give a shout out to Dana Abercrombie because she's been doing a lot of interviews, and she's actually working on a couple of shows that are coming out, in the next couple of weeks. So you might want to stay tuned because we're definitely going to have some thoughts on those shows. So look forward to that. And also shout out to Mr. Adam Vale as well. I know he's been working on a few things. But pretty much to say there's a lot of content coming to the site, so stay tuned for sure.
Indeed. And also big shouts to the Throwdown crew as well. So yeah,
absolutely.
That's pretty much it. So until next time, everyone, peace and love.
Bye, everyone.